Good morning. Welcome to Woods and Water Wanderings. I'm Bob Phillips, and I'm sitting here in the kitchen of one of my fishing partners, Gary, and we're going to look at some of his old lures today. He's got a multitude of them. Some of them are pretty old. We already looked up a couple of them, some of them from the 1920s. One is by CCB company out of Indiana that is baby pikey. It's a neat little lure, and we figure it's any place from the 1920s to the 1930s, but we'll look at them all as we get going here today. And this is a picture of him. So anything you want to say this morning?
Good morning.
One of the things we're going to be doing is using this book that's here on the table in front of you. It's called Identification and Value Guide, Old Fishing Lures and Tackle. The original edition, first edition, was written by Carl F. Lucky, and with this particular edition, the 6th edition, has been updated by Clyde Harbine. He's senior, the bass man, they call him, and I don't know if you can see his picture here. This is him on the backside. He was involved in bass fishing for many years, but this is about as exhaustive a edition of lure, tackle, collectibles that I have ever seen, and this is the 6th edition. Now, don't think you're going to run out and buy the 6th edition right off the shelves, because when I took this out of the library, and when I saw how good it was, I said, I'm going to look it up, and if I can find one, I'll buy it. Well, the first one I found was $150, so the book itself is a collectible. And there are other editions for less prices, but for some reason this one seems to be very collectible. People are hanging on to them or whatever. And I would say that probably the values of the lures in a tackle is pretty close to what our values today should be as we look at them. So let's get started. We'll open up some of these and show you some of the ones that we have found already. Right here. This is the beginning of the Creek Chub Bait Company, and this is a picture of the pikey, and I'll show you some different aspects of it. First of all, this particular one, and the early ones didn't have any stamp on it, but this one does have CCB company out of Garrett, Indiana, and it's all stamped right on the lip. Right here above on the lip, there is also a patent date for this particular lip style. You can't age the plug by that. This patent date is September 7th, 1920. But that's when the patent for this particular lip was put in, but it does make it an older plug. There's a few reasons for that. You'll see two different types. You'll see the famous pikey minnow, and this has got three hooks on it, or you can see the baby pikey minnow, which is got 2 hooks, and this fits that style very well. Besides the fact, it also says, stamped right into the top of the body, you can't read that probably on where you are, but it says pikey, P-I-K-I-E, right there. There's a few other things. This is an earlier one because it has a single screw holding the lip in place. Later models had a double screw that held them in place. This also has glass eyes that are painted, hand painted. I can tell they're hand painted because the black pupil on this one is a little bit larger than the black pupil on the other side. And also another thing you can't see well on that side, but on this side, the gill plate area is hand painted on. Even though this is this particular design for the scales was developed in about 1919 or so. Heddon used it, and others as well used it, but they used a spray to put that on with. They oftentimes hand painted the other aspects of the lure. But that's the baby pikey, and we're going to show you a few of the other ones that he has here. He's got a whole bunch of them. Let me just show you one here that I picked out that I thought was kind of interesting, and it's not an old one. It comes from about the 50s or 60s, probably the 60s. But here is what's called, is by Heddon. It's a tiny crazy crawler. This is plastic, whereas that was wood, balsam wood probably. But this is a tiny crazy crawler, and this is the very smallest that they made at that point. But you can see the coloration, the large eyes with a black eye and a red dot in it. It has Heddon and tiny crazy crawler written right on the bottom. A large red dot here underneath that identifies it as such. But this is kind of an interesting one that you see as well. Let me just put it down flat for you to look at. And I used to fish these crazy crawlers every once in a while. They were very effective just about dark, just about dusk, I should say. And when they moved through the water, they made an awful commotion that the bass really seemed to enjoy. This particular plug we've got here is a Creek Chub injured minnow, and you've got two propellers on it, tail and front. This one is an odd one in the sense that, being an injured minnow, they put the bottom hook on the side of the plug instead of coming out of the belly of the plug. It's on the side, and so it probably would go through the water in such a way like that and make more commotion as it was being towed along. This is an older one. Again, it's got little tiny glass eyes on this one, and propellers work beautifully on this. I would not be surprised to think that this could work very well in the water. This one has stamped or embossed right on it the Creek Chub injured minnow right here in very fine letters, and beautiful piece of a lure. Here's a jointed minnow by, if I can read this, this is a Pflueger. It's made in USA, but it is a Pflueger lure. And again, this is a wooden lure. Let me just look up quickly what it says about the Pfluegers. I know that I saw it in here. This one is not quite as old as the other couple that we looked at, the first one. Here we go. This is a jointed Palomine, PAL-0O-MINE. It's got a very unique kind of blade here that this is in very good shape considering the age. They could be as early as the 1930s and mid-30s, but I would assume that this one is probably 1940 or 50s. But a very nice looking lure. Available in 2 sizes, and I believe this one is the smaller size, 3 1/4 inch as compared to a 4 1/4. I should have had my tape measure here, but it's Series 9000, and it's called Palomine, jointed Palomine, basically a creek chub again, or a chub lure. Here we have a number of flatfish. The flatfish had 12 different designations according to our guide there today, that were designated by either a single letter and number or multiple letters, maybe like SPS, which meant standard pike underwater, or SPU, standard pike, standard pike underwater. SPS was standard pike surface. Tell you how to fish it a little bit by that number. This one is a T4. T is for trollers. This is the T4 as well, but different designation. This is more like a frog, and this is more like probably like a smelt or some kind of a shiner. Then they had these, which are, believe it or not, all the same designation. These are found here on the back of the lure. This one is an F7, and it goes all the way down to an F4. The F means fly rod. It's made for fly fishermen to use. There's an F7, as I said. This one is another F7, and you see a little discrepancy in size there. This is an F5 and an F4, as we said. They get quite small. This has a single treble hook on it. This one has harnessed double treble hooks, and one of the things with a flatfish is this yoked treble hooks here in the middle of the belly with a slightly larger hook on the tail end. Then you have other ones, such as this. Give you a better idea here. This one is slightly different made, a smaller lip with this particular flatfish. It's still a flatfish, but on the bottom it says Lazy Ike. Lazy in front of the hook and Ike on the back side of the hook. 2 little treble hooks, same size each treble hook. These are all made of plastic. If you found flatfish that were made with wood, obviously it would be more sought after and more value to them, but these are all more modern plastics, probably from the 1960s on up through, they're still making them today, present day. Just to show some of the development of Heddon here, these are all Heddon lures. These at the top are plastic, these 3. This is a wooden one with a metal lip. This one is called, it's Heddon's, boy, I can't pronounce that, Dowajek, I guess, something like that. D-O-W-A-G-I-A-C, I think is the last letter. It's a little worn. And of course here is a surface lure, Heddon Baby Lucky 13. And this is a interesting one in the sense that this has a cup that protect the body of the lure from the shaft of the treble hook in the eyelet, and it's put through that cup to put into place there. And then of course on the bottom it has iron or metal furniture to attach to the treble hook. But these here are this one is wooden construction. The Heddon's Zaragoza, that one is called. This one is called the Heddon Zero Spook. Then this one is called the Heddon Zero Spook as well. You see, but you can look inside the body. I don't know if it shows on camera or not, but you look inside the body. It has the wires that are giving strength to the pull of the fish when you hook into a nice big pike or big bass. And here again is a wooden one with the different. This is missing one set of hooks here. Should be another treble hook there, and the dish face with the glass eyes on it, metal attached with 3 different screws here, attached lip, nice little plug as well from Heddon. So they've been in the business quite a long time, and in being in the business that long, of course, they've developed many of the techniques that are being used for any of the development of the lures over that period of time. Look at this one last spinner we have here. It's an old spinner that would come from Sweden, and it'd be the part of the Abu Garcia line in some respect. I think this one has a the name of the city on there, and it's called the spinner, and it's put in Sweden, and it has I think it says it's under patent or something like that, and there's an ABO up at the top, or an ABU, I guess, whichever one it is. Brass body to the spinner, give it weight. Reddish and orange beads to give it a little bit of noise, I suppose. And then it has a copper spinner instead of a nickel silver spinner. And this has little indentations or little cups that are pushed out, and assume that that's to create commotion, bubbles, air bubbles, as it goes through the water, spins through the water, and to make a little more noise for attraction. And somewhat of a loose V-shaped connection here for the treble hook, and so it's an early Abu Garcia spinner. Quite a nice shape. This one in particular is. We had looked at eBay and saw that some of these and this about the same shape go any place from $7 to $10 and on eBay, and so that's a little more expensive than your brand new one today. If you bought a brand new MEPS spinner this size, you're looking at probably $6, $7, $8 for one.